meeting is being recorded.
There's a lot of closed-mindedness today. We can't have discussions anymore with people. And Jews love to have discussions. What's the big part of the Passover Seder? That people ask questions, that there are discussions. My father has been to a few Seders when he hasn't been able to come out here, or we haven't been able to go out there. And he's lamented that they went through the whole thing like it was mechanical. No discussion, no talking, no what does this mean, what does that mean, nothing. Life today is the same. Now, everybody is talking about politics, or I should say everybody is not talking about politics. They're arguing. They're not discussing. They're telling you that they're right and you're wrong. Not in so many words, maybe, but that's basically what they're doing. 2,000 years ago, when the Talmud was being put together, there were two schools, Hillel and Shammai. Shammai was very traditional, very conservative, this is what it says, this is what we do. Hillel, on the other hand, was very progressive, very liberal, very let's see what it's about. 95% of the discussions, the debates in the Talmud, end without it being resolved. However, when they were discussing matters of halacha or procedure, everybody accepted Hillel's pronouncements over Shammai's. Why? Because Hillel's school did something that Shammai's school did not do. And that is that they looked at what Shammai was saying and they incorporated that into their thinking. Shammai's school, on the other hand, did not. They stuck to their own opinion. This is it. This is what we've decided, and that's it. Very close-minded. Today, we don't have two sides, Shammai and Hillel. We have one side. That's two sides. We have on the one side, it's Shammai. On the other side, it's Shammai. They don't listen to what the other people are saying. They don't care. And they don't do research. If you've ever seen a page of Talmud, you've got the discussion in the middle of the page. And then on the outside borders, you have various commentaries. Rashi, famous rabbi, Onkelos, who was actually an Aramean convert that did a lot of Torah studying. You've got, I'm drawing a blank. A group of rabbis after Rambam that discussed what was going on. Okay? So you had a lot of discussion, you had a lot of research, you had a lot of what they call today, not footnotes, what's the other, proof texts, right? Where they said, well, this is what we're proposing, this is how we're interpreting this, because it says this in Exodus, and this is verified in Isaiah over here, and that's what they did. They don't do that today. Today, the voice of authority is TikTok. What are the qualifications of TikTok? And it's a very simple answer. None. These people, I've seen them. Sorry, but they're too young to know what they're talking about. I was that young. I was in my 20s. When I was in my 20s, I didn't know what I was talking about. I didn't. But the difference between my generation and what's going on today is at least some of us listen to what other people say. We like to debate. We like to discuss. We used to sit around, put on rock music or some music, and just kick back and say, discuss things. They don't do that today. You're wrong, we're right, by definition. How do you expect anything to get done? How do you expect to come to the meetings of the mind? Okay? And what they expect is for you to acquiesce to us because we're right, and it's never going to happen. Especially, the more you force somebody to accept your opinion, the less they're going to do. And they're going to get to the point where instead of, well, you're just closed-minded, they're just going to say, I don't want anything to do with you anymore. One of the comedians that we like put out a manual for how to deal with Thanksgiving family dinners. Because there's always one person that's got this out-of-the-world opinion, and you're never going to discuss with them. They're right. They've done their research. And you can do research. You can do lots of research on the internet. The question is it valid? What are the qualifications of the person telling you what they did? Now, again, in the Talmud, Rabbi such and such, son of Rabbi such and such, who would sit in his study hall. That's how they made the qualification. That's how they told you who these people were and how they knew it. And they would debate. Look at the Passover Haggadah. Rabbi Akiva was sitting with Rabbi Tarfon, and they were talking. And Rabbi Akiva said this, and Rabbi Tarfon replied to this, right? It's all, what did they say? You don't get that today. You have sources that will tell you whatever you want to hear. And that's not good. Because God gave us these things in the front. They're called frontal lobes. And they're the one thing that separates us from all the other forms of life on this planet. We can think critically. But then there's that expression, use it or lose it. I'm just worried that a couple of generations down, they're going to look like Neanderthals again. They're not using their frontal lobes. So who knows? We're not going to evolve. We're going to devolve. Anybody hear of the rock group Devo? That's short for devolution. That's what their point of view was. So the key to understanding is to understand what other people are saying. And you know what? If they're not going to listen, don't waste your time. It's that simple. The strong will survive. This world will survive. We will survive. But we have to make that we have to make that example, and we have to do our research. And if they don't want to listen, that's on them. As that great philosopher W.C. Fields said, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Then quit. No use being a damn fool over it.